Hi, and welcome to episode 43 of the Austin Downbeat, where we catch up with some of Austin's most wonderful musicians here in town. Some that have been in town for a long time, some that just got here. And we start every episode off with a rundown of some of the people that are playing in Austin for this actual week. I always check bandsintown.com, so please do that. And thanks to Bands in Town. My name is Kat. You can follow me on Instagram at Kat is on the radio, Kat with a K. Also, just at Austin Downbeat for show stuff. And we're going to get to it. We have a lot of people. I have like a three pages on my little list, so I'm gonna get to it, so I can get you into the show today. We have a great guest. Okay, so today, or sorry, yes, today is Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day to everybody, for those that celebrate it. Austin Mays is playing tonight at Pootie's out in the Hill Country. White Reaper is at the historic Scoot Inn. Selfless Lovers, Nick Parr and the Selfless Lovers. Perfect for Valentine's Day. They are at Meanwhile Brewery. Kalu James, who's coming on the show, is at Monk's Jazz Club. So that's all today, Valentine's Day. On the 15th, you have Honeybee Jazz at Plate by Zintra. That's out in Bee Cave. Walt Whitkins is going to be at the Saxon Pub. Ruthie Craft, my guest today, is at Geraldine's. And Nemion is at Mohawk. Nemion is in the band Dragon Rapid, who has been on the show. They're amazing. And so is he. On the 16th, we have the boss, Bruce Springsteen, at the Moody Center. Super bummed I didn't get tickets for that. Patrice Pike is at the Saxon Pub. And also on this night, Sims is doing a benefit called Girls Who Do Boys Who Do Girls. There are so many people playing. To name a few: Betty Sue, Shiny Ribs, Colin Gilmore, Susanna Schaffel. The list is long, so I just picked a few. Okay, time to turn the page. That's not the right one. On the 16th, continued, last one, Urban Heat is playing at the Parish. Jonathan Horseman, the lead singer of Urban Heat, was on the show, so you can check out his episode. That was a little bit ago. They've recently on the cover of the Chronicle here in Austin, which is cool. It's an awesome photo. Super stoked watching them climb. The 17th of February, we have Katrina Kane. She's been on the show. She's out at Front Yard Brewery. I want to say that's out in the Hill Country too. I might actually pop over to that. Also on the 17th, we have Poi Dog Pondering. Bruce Hughes is in that band, and he's been on the show. They're at 310 ACL Live. Brody Lane is at the Mill Bar and Grill. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see. And lastly, for the 17th of February, we have Madame Radar at Saxon. Okay, so for the 18th of February, Jane Leo, they've been on the show. They're so awesome. They are at Meridian. Skyrocket, Johnny Gowdy is in Skyrocket, and he was, I think, my third episode. Love Johnny. He plays in Skyrocket. They are playing in Dripping Springs on that precious little street called Mercer Street. And on Mercer Street is a dance hall, and Skyrocket is playing there. That's on the 18th. I'm almost done, I promise. On the 19th, you have Kelly McWee, and she's at the Redbird Listening Room. Jack Ingram is at ACL Live Moody Theater. Jake Lloyd, he's been on the show. I know you're so surprised. He is at Hotel Vegas, and I'm almost done. The 20th of February, that's a Monday. I always end on a Monday. Pat Byrne has a residency at the Saxon Pub. If you haven't seen Pat Byrne play, just go see him play. Also, that same night, Bob Schneider is at the Saxon Pub during his residency. So that's kind of a nice little combo to do on a Monday night. And we love the Saxon Pub here at the show. And last but not least, my guest next week is Brian Wolf, and he has a beautiful voice and very talented, and he is playing at the Driscoll on the 20th. Pour yourself a drink. I need one. That was a long list. Okay, I'm gonna make this really short. My guest today is Ruthie Craft. Ruthie is new to Austin, fairly, and we talk a lot about. She was on American Idol. I didn't really mean to talk about American Idol very much. I was just going to kind of mention it, but there were a lot of things that sort of came out of that that you wouldn't sort of normally think, some internal, some external. And so we do end up kind of talking about American Idol and the vectors off of it for a little bit. We also talk about the fact that she pulls off colored hair better than I think I've ever seen anyone. Sorry to anyone I know that has colored hair. Um, so talented, so sweet. Just recently kind of made the leap from kind of having a day job as a dental assistant to becoming a full-time musician. And I think that's a really valuable conversation to listen to because it's a big freaking deal to do that, in my opinion. So, kudos to those of you that make that leap and just make it work and figure it out. I love it and I support it and want to celebrate that. So, Ruthie, I love Ruthie. Thank you to her for coming and stopping by. We had some technical difficulties in the beginning, but we pushed through and we made it happen. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation with her. She's absolutely wonderful and so talented, and that voice is just so good. She's got some new stuff coming out. She's been steadily releasing music since 2018. Yeah, definitely some new stuff coming out soon. So it's very exciting. So if you don't know who she is, get ready. And if you know who she is, then you're going to love this. And now you have no excuse. Now you know who she is. All right. Enjoy my conversation with Ruthie Craft. All right. Ruthie Craft, thanks so much for coming. We made it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Come hell or high water, we're gonna make it happen. Yeah, you look so good. I was thinking your hair was gonna be different colors. I was kind of hoping because you're like the only person, and I really mean this. This isn't like blowing sunshine. Not a lot of people can pull that off, and like I don't actually think I've really, no offense to anyone that I know that has it, but I don't really see anyone else pulling it off the way that you do. Question
Thank
for you. How did you know that you could pull off? Because normally, folks, she has really colorful hair. And how did you know you could pull that off? Or were you just kind of winging it?
Oh
Try.
no, there's definitely no guarantee. I was going through a quarter life crisis and I broke up with my boyfriend and I was like, well, it's time to get purple hair and move to
Yeah.
Austin. So that's what I did. Um, and I was just playing with colors ever since then. It's super fun. I mean, my mom doesn't think I can pull it off, but she's my mom. Everybody else thinks it looks good, so I kept it
Yeah.
for 2 years.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think,
did you just recently go back to blonde?
yeah, I wasn't even planning. I was planning on like keeping purple hair forever. The only reason I changed it actually is because I got a part in a commercial,
Mhm.
uh, which is random and also super fun because I do love acting. But they're like, you can't have purple hair. So I was like, ah,
Yeah.
fine. So I'm gonna have the blonde for the foreseeable future, but
Yeah.
my heart wants purple hair, so we'll see. TBT,
Yeah.
continued.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And your for folks, I just like to say kind of in the beginning, your website is so cool. Your social media is so cool. So I
Oh,
want to make sure
girl.
people hear that kind of on the front end. So ruthiecraft.com and then also on Instagram. Is it just Ruthie Craft on Instagram?
Yeah, it's Ruthie Craft
Yeah.
across all
So
socials.
so fun and so colorful. And I think you do such a great job. And we'll talk about that because it's like a job with keeping everything kind of updated and staying really active on that stuff. So, but let's kind of back up and just get to know sort of, kind of walk the runway. You're not from here. So how long have you been in Austin? What was that kind of like for you?
I've lived here about a year and a half. I'm from the Seattle area originally, from a little town called Gig Harbor, and yeah, it was pandemic wasn't necessarily the height of the pandemic. Suppose it depends on where you were living at the time. It felt like
Right.
that height still.
Right.
And, I was scheduling shows again, but then they kept getting canceled. And it was this push and pull, this emotional roller coaster of like, I can play live music again. And no, I can't. And oh my God, I got this amazing opening. Like, I'm going to open for, fill in the blank band. Just kidding. That's not going to happen. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I hear Austin is open. I'm going to go there. It's the live music capital. And I had been to Austin 3 years prior, just on a road trip randomly. I had no, like, I didn't even know anything about Austin. I had no idea there was a ton of live music here. I didn't realize it was such a cool city. I was just like, hey, this looks like a neat spot. I'm just gonna go through here. And I was like, the hell is this place? It's like nobody told me
Mhm.
about this. I felt like kind of mad that I felt like the last person to find out about it. And it was like, this is freaking amazing. Like this is like Mecca for live musicians.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I had that in the back of my head for 3 years, and then finally, circumstances with the pandemic and me being really freaking tired of it raining every day in Washington, all that stuff. I was just like, you know what? It's time. It's time for a new adventure. I'm gonna pack up and start fresh. It was the first time I've ever done that, really.
Yeah. Well, you landed in such a great spot. And not only, I mean, I guess there are differing opinions about the quality and is Austin truly the live music capital of the world? And, when so many of our musicians can't even afford to live in the city anymore and they're moving, out to Lockhart and Buda and all those places.
San Marcos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not in Austin anymore either.
Yeah, yeah. And so there is that kind of in the background, right? But I will say the community of musicians, and I mean, I get to meet a lot of musicians, and I just like I fall in love with all of them. They're just such wonderful people. Maybe that's just me being predisposed to loving musicians and in that craft and whatever. But you landed in such a wonderful community as well, I think. Do you find that to be true? How as a newcomer, what was the reception like? Because it's not just about standing up there and getting a gig, but you're also in a community. Do you feel that as kind of fairly new?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's another thing I was chasing here in Austin versus where I was coming from. And no shade at all to like the Seattle music scene. I couldn't find my way in. I don't know what I was missing necessarily, or if it's just the scene isn't what it used to be, but I couldn't find that super close community where everybody's like supportive of each other. It's like a healthy competition, but
Mhm.
um like here in Austin, there's healthy competition, but we're all really nice. Like
Yeah.
when I came here, people were so nice to me. I'm like, aren't we supposed to hate each other? Like you're all like if I met a girl who's a singer, I'm just automatically like, aren't you supposed to hate me? And I
Mhm.
kept being shocked that like they didn't. And everybody kind of sort of I feel like everybody here agrees on the whole a rising tide lifts all ships sort of situation that like if I succeed, you should succeed as well, and then we all succeed and the music industry as a whole succeeds, because we want the industry to succeed as well as the individual musicians. But yeah, I mean, coming here was like I thought it would fade. At first, I was like, it's like falling in love, you get all these like butterflies and fun feelings and you're just obsessed. And that's how I
Mhm.
felt when I moved to Austin. And in the back of my mind, I was like, well, this feels familiar. This feels like falling in love and I've been there before and it's going to fade and then I'm going to be like, "Oh no, what have I done?" Um but that didn't happen. Like I'm still pretty obsessed with this place. It has its flaws and obviously the fact that the cost of living, it's tough and stuff, but like I do find this place is pretty magical, and it's a really good fit for me because of that
Mhm.
community. It's I haven't seen anything else like it yet.
Good. That makes me happy. And you stay quite busy. You play a lot. You're doing a lot. Well, now that you are officially a full-time musician. So I saw on your Instagram you did this cute thing where you were during the day you were a dental assistant and then you decided to quit that job and go full-time. So talk a little bit about that process. Must have been scary.
Yeah, it was really. scary. It still is, because,
Right.
I live paycheck to paycheck now, which is something that when I was when I was younger, I used to like wag my finger at people who lived paycheck to paycheck, but now I understand, like it's not that simple.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was a dental assistant for a couple years, and it's not a bad job. It was actually pretty fun, and I learned a lot, and I got to nerd out about teeth and random stuff. And I mean, honestly, like I did not think I would like it so much, but I could talk all day long about teeth. Um, but at a certain point, it finally got to the point where I had I had an awakening. I'm like, okay, I moved to Austin, Texas to pursue my music, not to become a full-time dental assistant. And
Mhm.
I was working so much, and then I would get home and I was exhausted. So the hours that I did have left in the day to work on my own music and music business, I didn't have the brain power. I didn't have the bandwidth to even
Mhm.
tackle those things. And so finally I was like, would it be crazy to consider going full time? Because I'm not a session musician. Like, people don't hire me. I don't get hired for gigs. I only play my own gigs. And so I'm like, is this possible as a solo artist to do this? And I was like, you know what? If it is possible, it's going to be possible in Austin. That's going to be the place where it would be possible, because we have amazing organizations here like HAM, the um, the Health Alliance for Austin Musicians. We have a bunch of other support networks for musicians, and there's no shortage of gigs here, which is amazing. And so I was like, you know what? Let's try it. And so, yeah, I quit my job. I teach vocal lessons once a week to help with the bills. And other than that, I play gigs and I record music and I collaborate with people. And uh, by the grace of God, somehow I'm making it work.
That's fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really awesome. You've been, so let's talk a little bit about where are we kind of meeting you on your musical journey. So, do you want to talk about American Idol?
It's so funny. I'm always surprised when people bring that up, but everybody brings that up.
Well, I
Um,
only say that because I used to work in reality TV and I used
Really?
to, yeah, yeah, we'll talk about that after. Yeah.
Oh.
And so I know that whole biz very well. And so I'm just, it has its pros and it has its cons, and I'm sure you can understand that. So I always find it really interesting because I've spoken to a few, like a few people that have been on my show have been, and some don't really want to talk about it. Some want to kind of point the light over here, and some do want to talk about it. So, but I think it's interesting from your perspective, like did that help with the momentum of you as an artist? Did it help with momentum of you as kind of forming a career? How old were you when, because it wasn't crazy long ago. I mean, it was just a handful of years ago, right? Well, now it's 2023. So I still, I'm an 80s kid. So when you say 20 years ago, I think we're talking about 1980. So, which is very common, I'm learning. I have no grasp on time, but it wasn't that long ago that you did it. And I guess I'm just curious, like all the dust settling, was it a good thing that you kind of find that you did, or how did it kind of land for you?
Yeah. It's hard to it's hard to quantify,
Yeah.
But well, first question. I was 22. It aired in 2019.
Mhm.
So yeah, it wasn't all that long ago.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like a decade ago, and sometimes it
I
feels like
know.
yesterday. Yeah. Um, it gave me couple thousand followers on Instagram, and it helped me with my resume. Like
Right.
reaching out to venues and like, hey,
Yeah.
I was on American Idol,
Yeah.
so I could use that, which was cool. Because for some reason people took you more seriously if you
Yeah.
say that you were on a singing show. Um, it as far as it doing anything for my career, numbers wise, meh. I don't know
Mhm.
how much it really helped, but I also didn't get extremely far on the show. I got cut at the end of Hollywood Week,
Right.
which was like, just even that I made it that far, I was really proud of myself.
Yeah.
But other than that, really what it has done for me, that experience, is it grew me a lot as a person and as an artist because it made me really insecure in a lot of ways. And quite frankly, when I got cut from the show, I sunk into an extremely deep depression. It was not good. I lost my job like right after I got home because I just
Mm.
like kept sleeping. And and I was just like, I'm a piece of crap. I'm a terrible singer. Everybody there is a
Oh,
better singer than me. Like
oh,
all this
sweetheart.
stuff. Yeah, well, the
Yeah,
things we
I
say to
do know.
ourselves
Hmm.
is not good. Um, and it made me really insecure because a lot of the artists, well, they were just that. They were artists, and I was just a singer. And they were coming in with their original songs, and they were accompanying themselves on their original songs. And quite frankly, I had been lazy with practicing my ukulele and my guitar, and I had been lazy with trying to songwrite. And I was just like, yeah, somebody else is going to write the songs for me. I just want to sing them. And that
Mm.
was a big turning point for me in 2018, where I'm like, you know what? I have things to say and I can write them down in song form. And maybe I'm not the best songwriter right now, but at least I'm self aware. And if I keep practicing, I could be better. And so I started writing like immediately, in between depression naps. I would try to write songs. And so since then, I feel like I became a songwriter since American Idol. And I would say because of American Idol.
Yeah.
And I got better all around. I also learned that those opportunities are really amazing and really fun, but I wasn't less of a musician and I wasn't less of a singer because I got cut
Mm.
from the show. And I'm not less of a musician because I have continued to re-audition for American Idol and other shows, and they just don't want me. That doesn't make me less of anything. You know what I
Mm.
mean? It just means that's not what they're looking for that year because that is how reality TV works.
Yes.
As you know, it's a casting
Yes. It's
situation.
casting.
Yeah. And so yeah, it taught me. I was, I guess, forced to learn how to have self-confidence. Nobody was going to hand it to me on a silver platter. I had to earn it.
Yeah,
And
and I
that's
think there's life lessons like that I think we all hear growing up and the kind of these cliche things, but it's not until something like that that we really truly arrive at that and go, oh, okay, oh shit, like it's not like you said, nobody is over in the wings waiting to kind of fix me and hand me my self-confidence and my self-worth and my value. I have to do that. What does that actually look like? We don't talk about what that looks like, you
it's
know?
painful. It's a really,
Right.
really painful process.
Right. There's no grace. There's no, it's not pretty. It's not a pretty process. And so that's another gem of why I talk to people that do what you do, because, and thank you for being so honest about it, because I want people to understand that not everything is this perfect little soundbite and it's this perfect little, like wrapped up little life lesson. Fuck, it's like hard, you know? Yeah. So thank you for sharing that, because um, I'm glad you learned that. It's also a bummer that sometimes it has to be done in such kind of a, I know TV can be kind of shitty.
Yeah, dude. It was,
Yeah.
I gotta say, it was probably still to this day the hardest thing I've ever done,
Yeah.
physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know what sleep deprivation was until that. And it'll fuck you up, man. Like it screwed with my head so much. And it was and I was so sick the whole week and I just pretended that I wasn't and
Mm.
just pushed through. And I mean, it was hard. And I'm not trying to like shit on American Idol because like, thank you to those people for giving me a platform. Thank you to those people. And honestly, a lot of the producers were like wonderful and super
Oh,
sweet. They weren't
yeah.
trying. They didn't make me sick on purpose, you know? And the reason I was sleep deprived was because they were running on a tight TV schedule. I
Right.
get it. But all that to say, it was really tough. But I'm glad I did that experience because like I just don't know if I would have. grown in the ways that I have
Well, you
without it.
would have, but it would have taken you 20
It
years.
would have taken me longer,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. And I will say, to kind of echo what you said, because again, I've been in the thick of all that. The machine is kind of messed up, the whole reality TV. Oftentimes, though, the people that work, the crew, the producers, I mean, most of them are just absolutely precious
Yeah,
people
they love their
that
job.
when you are working, when you're on your 18th, 20th hour straight of, being awake and you're in the trench together. And I will say that the crew is really what kind of makes it fun and doable, and the people that you're with. So, yeah.
I agree. I just want to say like shout out to the American Idol crew because I still
Yeah.
follow a lot of them on Instagram and they're genuinely very cool people, you know?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I love my production peeps.
Yeah.
They're awesome. That's what makes it fun. Okay, so enough of that. And then so you do that, and then where are you kind of left? So you come sort of swing out of, rebound out of the effects of being on that show, and then where do you find yourself?
Um, Lost. I was
Mm,
really lost. I was so young. I was
22.
Yeah, and also to give more context, I was on American Idol only a few months after I had gotten divorced. So I
Mm,
got married when I was 20 years old. I got divorced when I was 22 and a half. Then I got on the show and I was like, "Pff, look at me turning my life around. If only he could see me now." And I got real cocky. And
gotcha.
then I got cut from the show and I was like, I'm a piece of shit.
uh,
And it was super hard. I didn't know where to go from there. I'm like, well, that was my business plan out the window.
you're like, rip that up.
Literally, because ever since I was a little kid, all I wanted was to be on American Idol. And I was like, if I could just get on American Idol, I could be Kelly Clarkson. That's how
Right,
these things work, right?
right.
No. And especially because when American Idol started, it was the year 2000. Okay?
Oh, stop it. Oh my God.
So just think about that for I think it was 2000, right? I might be
It probably is right.
it was a long ass time ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing about that. Social media wasn't a thing yet.
Right.
And streaming services like Spotify weren't a thing yet. And the music industry looked different back then. Back then, that was your golden ticket. The golden ticket to Hollywood literally was your
Yeah.
golden ticket. Nowadays, I mean, you don't need one of those shows to make it. That being said, it can be helpful.
Mhm.
But like I didn't so I was outdated in my thinking basically because I was like, well, if I can't be on American Idol, what the fuck do I do?
Mhm.
And then I had a lot of people come alongside me and give me advice, not help me. Nobody held my hand. I really wanted them to, but nobody did. But people gave me advice and said, basically, buck up, kiddo.
Mhm.
It's just one opportunity and it's gone. And you took that opportunity and it was great, but there's going to be more opportunities. When I'm like, well, how do I find opportunities? Well, you don't go looking for them. You just put your head down and you work and you get better and those opportunities will come knocking. And
Mhm.
sure enough, over the years, and I'm still not anywhere near where I want to be, but over the years, because I've kept my head down and I've kept working, not opportunities have come because people like to see somebody who, works hard.
And enjoys the process of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's another thing too. I had to really learn how to enjoy the process and how to enjoy like there was a time where I just stopped I didn't like singing really anymore
Yeah.
because it just wasn't it was just felt like work.
Yeah.
And I was like, I better get out of this mindset quick because otherwise I'm never gonna have a career because I can't sustain this. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Um, I forgot where I was going. But yeah, basically, it's still a long road. I have a long road ahead of me, but after American Idol, it was a lot of falling down and picking myself back up again
Mhm.
and listening to advice from anywhere I could get it, and writing songs.
Mhm.
I took a lot of those feelings of rejection and from American Idol, from my marriage, from everything, all those negative emotions, and I started writing songs. And they're still some of my favorite songs to this day,
I
you
was
know?
gonna say, I mean, if anything, I mean, there's always gold, like gold, right? In that kind of stuff. And I have to say, it's probably just like prime material to write from and to write about, and to really kind of harness those to help you also process, those things. Do you still find yourself, or have you changed it a little bit in your mind? When you were younger, it was like, I just have to get on American Idol, and that's the A plus B equals C. Do you find yourself seeing things a little bit different? Obviously, you just said, I'm not where I want to be. We still have to have a bit of a, goals and a bit of a roadmap, but have you tweaked it a little bit in your head? Are you a little looser as far as just like, maybe I think I want to be there, but I'm open to it being over there, you
Yeah.
know?
No, for sure, because I realized a few years ago that I chose an impossible profession. I mean, people don't, in general, get where they want to in music. And I know and I hate when people say that because it discourages me, and I don't want other people to hear that and get discouraged, but that is the reality. I chose eventually to look at that as, well, I guess I just got to work harder, and beat the odds. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I realized, like, okay, so I didn't go to college. I went for a couple years, and I was like, not, this is not my thing, not happening. I'm trying to be a singer. And I can't do math. So I realized, if I were to go to college, say, and be a nurse, there's a plan for that. There's a step by step. You apply to colleges, you get into college, you take the courses. These are the specific prerequisites you need. You get all your credits, and then you graduate, and then you go look for a job. Pretty nice and simple. Music is
Mhm.
not like that. Singing is not like that. So I'm like, well, I guess I have to make up a plan. And I started making up plans, and like, none of it has really worked out that way, but it has really helped me to have some sort of basic outline for where I want to go. Um, because I don't know, like, I could get a call from a major record label tomorrow. Definitely not going to happen. But, and then that would take me away from what I had planned,
Right.
but I would probably consider that opportunity. So who really knows, but it's nice to have some sort of guidelines in place and be like, well, okay, what that person is doing, that seems to work. What that person is doing, that seems to work for them, and that seems to work. So I like to look at people, some of my favorite artists, and some people that I'm friends with who are just a little farther along, and I'm
Right.
like, you know what, whatever they're doing, that works. I'm going to put that in my plan and try to do that for myself. And I sort of take bits and pieces from everywhere that I see and just kind of put it into my plan and see what works for me. And I try stuff out, and sometimes it doesn't work. Like, I can't post to TikTok 3 times a day because I don't have that sort of bandwidth, and I pretty much have zero desire to do that whatsoever.
Right.
So I was like, all right, we're going to tweak that part of my plan. But anyway,
Yeah. I was
long
going
answer.
to
But
ask you.
basically, yeah, I'm totally open to seeing wherever it takes me.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, now that you're a full-time musician, your discipline has to be probably just top notch. And I don't know about you. I think about if it were me, and I, I mean, I'm a, I'm a good person, but like, I have a gym 100 feet away from me at my apartment, and
Yeah, and you don't go every
I've been
day.
there once or twice. You know what I mean? Like, I need someone telling me what to do. I need that accountability. So I'm just picturing myself being like, oh, doing this show full time and just not having, really any other thing to do. How do you do it? What are the tenets of Ruthie Craft success story? I mean, I know you love the post-it note, so that's
Oh yeah.
I do too. I love notes. I love lists and things like that. But what are the basic tenets of success for a full-time musician? Because I don't know if
Oh,
I can do it.
no, I'll let you know when I find out.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I don't know. Success, that's a strong word. I'm trying. How do we measure success, really?
Yeah, what
But
is success?
frankly, the hardest part of this, because we talked about earlier how it was really hard and scary for me to, take this leap into full-time music.
Mhm.
The hardest part is definitely the discipline. It's not even am I going to meet my bills? It's like, am I just going to get done today what I want to get done? Or am I going to go to bed being like, seriously,
Yeah,
again? You
yeah,
really got half of the things on your list done? Like, why can't you focus?
yeah.
So for me, like, my biggest downfall, I love sleeping and I need my
Oh,
sleep because
absolutely.
if I don't sleep, I can't create and I can't focus. I feel like I have a very short bandwidth and so I sleep a lot. And some could view that as lazy. I view that as tactical,
Restorative.
restorative. Thank you,
It's good. It's great word.
mom.
Use it.
Um, restorative. Thank you. So that's my down. I'll start my days late, but that's where my brain is awake in the afternoons and evenings. It's mornings are not a thing for me.
Hmm.
Um, so for me, the basic tenets, as you put it, of like making this work, making live music work, or sorry, full-time music work,
Yeah.
would be hella sticky notes,
Yeah.
lots of sticky notes. Because I have about like 3 master lists on Google Keep.
Nice.
Um, and then, but they're my master list. So I don't look at those every day until I'm ready. So I
Uh,
have those, and then I pull from those lists, and then I write them down in my notebook. And then I have to get things really small and really compartmentalized for me to actually tackle anything. So then I
yeah.
take that list and I make sticky notes and I put it right in front of me. I put it on the kitchen counter when I'm doing dishes. I'll put it on my
Yeah.
desk when I'm doing recording or whatever I'm working on. Those sticky notes follow me. Um, and then I write those when I'm finished with those sticky notes, I crumple them up, throw them away, and then I look at my notebook again and then so on and so forth. So I have like a 3-tiered system of lists because one list is like so freaking overwhelming.
Yeah.
And my brain, I don't know if this is a musician brain or just me, but I can only handle so much at one time. And if I see a list of like 5 things on it, I am paralyzed. I'm like,
Mm.
I would actually, I think I'm just gonna scroll on Instagram instead and not do any of these things.
Right.
Have them
Especially if
all.
they're like big things or things that, yeah, like you said, I think you're really smart. You are super self-aware. I love that about you. That what's rule number one? Know thyself, right? And I think that you sound to, like you do that really well. And those little doable bite-sized chunks are key. I think that's a real value to someone watching and listening. um it's so nice to hear someone like you that is successful. So take it because I do think she's making
You hear
mom,
that,
she's making that face again. But I do see you as successful. It's why I wanted to talk to you. I think no matter, there is no it's so cheesy and cliche, but there is no destination. Yes, you have goals. Yes, every single musician out there has goals. And yes, of course, you dream and you see people on stages that you would love to be on. That doesn't mean, and it's tricky, right? Because it doesn't mean that that's the end of the rainbow, right? It's just another stop, right? I mean, you've shared the stage. Did I read it correctly? That you've shared the stage with some pretty big people, like Keith Urban is pretty
mainly that
big.
mainly that one guy. Yeah, Keith
Yeah.
Urban.
So, like, someone watching you do that, Ruthie, on stage with Keith Urban, who they idolize, looks at you on that stage as that's the end of their rainbow. Is it the end of the rainbow for you? No, right? So like it's so relative. It's so freaking relative. And I think that's the hardest thing, no matter what you're doing, but especially with music, because it is such a part of our culture. It's such a part of our society. And it's just part of the fabric of being human, right? And so we're just constantly seeing it. Um, but I love talking to people like you because no matter where you think you're at, wherever Ruthie thinks she is, we have a totally different perspective as viewers. And that's what's so cool is that you can be talking about, you know, what's like behind the curtain and post-it notes and what's hard. And we're just like, all we see is someone who's crushing it and so freaking talented. You know what I mean? Like I listen to your voice and I'm like, are you kidding me? If I sounded like that, I'd walk up to every stranger I know and just start singing in their face.
Well, when I was a teenager, I did do that. And it was much to my friends' chagrin. Yeah.
Somehow I'm learning about you that like I could see you doing that.
Absolutely.
I love
I
that.
would sing Adele's 19 album like
Oh,
front to back,
yeah.
like at youth group. And they were like, okay, think good job.
Okay, stop. When I was a little girl, I was just telling my boyfriend this the other day. I had this memory because a song came on like from the 80s, like a song that used to be on the radio, like not a super popular one, but one that was popular at the time was like a one-hit wonder. And I was like, oh my gosh, this song used to be on the radio when I was like 5. And I remember back then you didn't have to wear a seatbelt and you didn't have to be in a car seat for sure. And so I would be turned around in the back seat holding up a microphone singing to everyone
Oh,
driving, like we'd be stopped in traffic. And I thought I was doing everyone such a service. I was like,
you're like, you're
I'm
welcome.
gonna sing for you. You can't hear me, but I know you know what it's.
What's the song?
Well,
Sorry, out of
I can't
curiosity.
remember now. It's leaving me. It was such a good song. It was probably by like Yes or Toto or Asia
Mm-hmm.
or you know like those bands that kind of like wasn't like Madonna or Prince or anything.
Right.
It was like the dad music of the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway,
That's hilarious.
yeah. Okay, so we have gone around the globe, but I want to kind of take it back to the music because you've been steadily kind of releasing music since 2018 from what I can see. What's the plan music wise? I know you're super busy gigging. Your website is so great. Again, people check out her website, ruthiecraft.com. You have it, it's so colorful and it's just so like
Yeah, me and my drummer did that together.
organized and like you can see all your gigs and it's just it's a great website.
Thank
But
you.
so being so busy, oh, my light just went off. Being so busy, like where are you at with music and recording and writing and all that stuff?
So currently, I have a lot of songs in the pipeline
Yeah.
with several different producers. Um, the plan for this year is I'm going to actually release my first EP,
Oh,
release
good.
them as singles first, most of them, and then I'll culminate them all on an EP. So I'm actually going to Nashville next week to record them. We have 5 songs ready to go.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm so excited because honestly, like these really feel these feel like very true to me. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the first time I've really not the first time, but I don't I just feel like with every round, like with every song that I create, I get closer and closer to my heart and what I really
Mm.
want. Because when you first start out, you don't really know what to tell the producer. They're like, "Do you like this?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it
yeah,
sounds
yeah.
cool." I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it sounds cool? Okay, yeah, that's cool. And and that's not their fault. It's my fault because I have not learned how to communicate what I want in a song. I'm getting better at that now, and so because of that, um, and also because I'm bringing in my some of my bandmates to play on these songs as well. So it's not just like produced. I'm having live music or live instruments on there too from
Good.
my best friends. It just feels very like very honest. So anyway, very excited for all that. Please stay tuned for that music coming up soon.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm still playing a bunch of shows around town. A lot of acoustic sets for now, 'cause those
Mm-hmm.
are the ones that pay the bills for the most part.
Yeah.
And then, oh, this is fun. Well, actually, I don't know if I can.
Ooh. This
No,
air.
it doesn't matter, I think. So we're being considered for Sonic Guild this year, formerly Black Thread.
Oh.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
great.
So we're gonna be considered for that. So we were nominated and then we have to perform and then we'll see where it goes from there. And the goal is to get one of those grants at the end of the year because holy smokes, that would help so much
That's
with
such a great organization. I'm such a
it
big
is. They're
advocate.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're amazing. Yeah, if
Fantastic.
anybody who's hearing this doesn't know about Sonic Guild, check them out.
Formerly Black Fret, just changed their name to Sonic Guild. Yeah, yeah, so great. I love
Yeah.
it. Awesome. You have such a cool sound. Some things I've heard from you are, I mean, your voice is so soulful and just velvety and smooth and gorgeous. And that applied over a song that kind of equals that, that's really kind of vibey and soulful. You also have kind of like a little dancey, poppy kind of feel to you too sometimes. Is there, for this EP and these songs that you're going to record, what's the landscape of them, or are they all kind of just a kaleidoscope of your heart, or is there like a collection kind of feel to it?
Um, Kaleidoscope Heart, wasn't that a Sarah Bareilles album?
Yes, it's a song and an album, but I was gonna say
I love
kaleidoscope. Then
that.
you're like, oh, it's to my heart. I'm
Beautiful.
I was like, I'll pull out the Sarah Bareilles
I
reference.
like that. That was
I
a
love her.
subtle drop there. I love
Yeah,
that.
she's
So
awesome.
I was just talking to my producer about this yesterday, and because I told him I was like, at first I was a little bit concerned because I felt like all of these songs were very different, and I'm like, how am I going to put them all in one EP?
Mhm.
But then I listened to them all again, and I'm like, actually, the thing that's binding them together is my voice and my songwriting. I wrote all the songs, I'm singing all the songs, and they're all produced by the same person. So this next EP is a pop album. That being said, each song dips into another genre. We didn't even do this on purpose. It's just the life that these songs took on by themselves. So we have one song that's very R&B. It's like pop, but then we've got some R&B vibes. We have a song that's pop, but there's gospel and also kind of synthwave at the same time.
Oh, I love
And
it.
yeah, and then there's another one that takes on a little bit of a rock vibe towards the end of the song. And
I love that.
it's really cool because I feel like they are cohesive, but they all kind of like are branching out into
Vector
other
out.
genres. Yeah, I'm
I
really
like that because we are so multi-dimensional as human beings, our experience and who you are. And that's why I also hate genres and I hate slapping those labels, even though it's kind of a necessary evil sometimes to kind of help your audience understand who you are and what,
right.
what you're doing. It's a love-hate with that. So, I ask the question with some sensitivity to that because, I know that we're not just one thing, but I love that you're able to kind of dip in. And I love that kind of saw that in the rearview mirror of listening to them again. That's really cool.
Yeah, I am beyond excited about these songs. So I'll start releasing them probably. I'm gonna say the first one will probably drop in April or May.
Oh,
I'm
good.
leaving that broad because I don't want to.
I was going to say
You know how
June.
deadlines work.
It's like construction. It's like
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
you're building something here. That's awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to keep pointing people. I mean, the best place, obviously, I want people to follow you at Ruthie Craft on Instagram because she is awesome on Instagram. And then also on your website, Ruthie Craft, because it's such a freaking cool website. And your hair looks so cool on that with the colors and the purple. And like, it's just so
I'll
pretty.
go back to it. I
I
know.
mean, you can,
I
no
miss it
pressure.
too.
It's fine.
No, I
I
miss
get
it.
it. You just have the features and the skin tone that can do it. Like you're a bit of a chameleon, you
Thank you.
know? I mean, you really have you heard that before? Because you really are. Not everyone can do that. Like I
Well,
can.
yeah, because it surprised me when I did for my music video, for the Love Me or Leave Me music video. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go wild with the hair. And
Yeah.
I had like orange, pink, and then there was pink here, and then there was orange up here, and then it was all purple back here. And I think it looked dope. And like I got so many compliments on it. I'm like, I definitely thought this was the one that was going to make me look like a clown, but it worked for some reason.
Not only does it work because you have the features and the tone, but your hair is also quite shiny and it looks healthy. And I think that's the other thing when some people dye their hair all the different colors, it looks really dry and brittle and sad.
Yeah,
Your
you got to go
hair
to a
looks
pro.
so shiny and healthy. And I'm just like, I can't compute.
That's well, thank you. That's a this shout out to all the wonderful hairstylists who have ever done my hair, because they're very careful with maintaining the health of the hair. Don't go to somebody cheap, and don't if you're gonna do your hair purple. I highly recommend don't do it yourself because you're probably gonna fry your hair.
Yes. Yes, you
Is
can
my
kind of tell.
professional
Yes,
advice.
you can kind of tell. All right, Ruthie Craft, thank you so much for joining me. It's such a pleasure to get to know you. And thank you for being so honest and vulnerable about just who you are and your experience and being real. I think that's such a value add for people that are watching. And I think that's also why people also watch the show is because they know they're going to have a real conversation. So I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all the words of encouragement you gave me. Calling me successful
Yes.
and stuff. That feels
You
great.
just, of course, you're sick. Oh God. Okay, you're gonna need to text me whenever you need reminder of who you are.
I appreciate it.
Call me or text me, and I will remind you who you are from
Just the
this.
musician psyche. We all do it, you know?
I know. Well, honey, it's everybody. It's
That's true. I'm not special.
everybody. All right. Well, I hate to say goodbye, but it is time. But this is another episode of the Austin Downbeat. Thanks to Ruthie Craft over here. And be sure to follow her on Instagram and check out her website and find out where she's playing next. And I will also echo that as well. And we will see you next time. I'm Kat, your host. We'll see you later. Bye.